and they were asking them the little you know about this election, voter education. The political parties rated very low. Only 24% of them said political in this thing.
For now, these political parties, and then you talk to them.
I think we got that. I think we got that information. I think all they are doing is to calculate and say, okay, if we have this budget and we are able to get this number, we would likely, win the election. That is what playing out. And this information from the field, from your reporters, is actually even if it's 20,000, will 20,000 send your child to school? Or if you fall ill and you have to go to hospital, by the time you do 1 or 2 tests and you buy 1 or 2 drugs.
Just a minute, sir. I have patience EB.
Hello, patience. Talking about.
Hello, patience.
This patience.
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you. Hello, I can hear you. I think the network in SLDO, it has always been like that at every election cycle. The network around that area. Please go ahead.
So as I was saying, even if the money you get is 20,000, that will not send your child to school. It will not pay your hospital bills. It will not do all those things. And I think the people themselves must show seriousness that they want, good governance. And if that does not happen, the politicians will continue like this, and we will not have moral right to even complain when they take our resources, when the allegations of corruption, because they themselves will say, well, I want that thing. Okay.
Hello, patience. Hello.
You have update.
Please, maybe when the network gets better, maybe patience will come back. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So, this money will not solve your problems. The other part of it is that you don't even have the moral right
to complain or to
hold the leaders accountable and demand and say, come and do this for me. They will remind you and say, but you already you can't remember what you collected. So our attitude too is also one of the reasons why we don't get dividends of democracy. And I believe that yes, it's true, we can't run away from the fact that people are poor. They feel that is the only thing they can get. But I still feel it's not the right attitude. It's not the right mentality to adopt. It does not empower us as a people to go to meet our leaders and get them to do what they are supposed to do. We need to just fight for good governance and rather think that it is this money that I collect that will solve our problem. It's never solved. If the money you collected in the last election had solved your problem, you won't be collecting another one. In this election, you won't be collecting another one. I was going to say that we talked about political parties signing peace accord during elections that commit there.
Yeah.
Even though some of them still engage in violence, but at least we have an instrument to hold them accountable and say you pledge to do this.
So I was thinking for that.
Well, in fact, that's why I was that's why I'm a bit hesitant. That's why I'm a bit hesitant to say what I was just thinking aloud. Okay, are we now going to say political parties should start signing accord that they will not buy votes? But they may sign the accord, and what has really shocked me from the reports from your reporters, what has really shocked me is the brazenness. When we engage with INEC, and INEC said, well, what the law says, at least at their own level, is that within 300 meter radius of the polling unit, all that should happen is people come in, they accredit the vote, no other thing. And that if anything like vote trading or vote buying should take place, that would be an electoral offense, and they will expect the security people to apprehend them. Then some reporters now say, okay, what about outside the INEC said that is left for the security agents, EFCC, ICPC to do their work, that they are the ones that can trace, meaning that you don't need to get physical something. So people say, well, even if you say that should be no vote by, supposing they begin to transfer money to people, how are you going to trace that? And we now say that is a problem. So I didn't thought that there will be some, there is this popular saying, honor among thieves, that you even be this, but this brazenness, even in the face, it's just a kind of slap on the face that you can say what you like. This is the way we want to go about these elections, and for me it's highly disappointing.
You have monitored the elections in other countries as an international observer.
Yes.
Now, in other places, especially in developed climes, before you can tell through polls, through some of the statistics around the election, maybe the number of women that are registered. You could even know from the voter register, the number of women, the number of you want to talk to, where to go more, and all of that, where to visit more, and all of that. But in Nigeria, all those statistics do not appear to matter. Whether you talk to women because you have more number of the registered voter, or you talk to youth, or you visit places with the largest number of voters and all of that. All that, by the time the result comes out, just the voting proper, you discover that all of that do not appear to matter. What is the problem?
Well, maybe we are not we are not scientific enough, or the indices we are using are not what we should be using. I think we need to do more study about our own political system, because it can make mess of all your predictions. Even though in those places too, sometimes the polls don't get it right.
Yes.
Like the last election, between Trump and Kamala Harris.
Yes.
All the people were tight race, dead something, swing states, but suddenly, the so-called swing states swung only one side, and Trump, that didn't have majority of the votes in the previous something, just swept everything. So sometimes too, in those places, and that is why I feel that we need to get the pulse of the people the more. When we are doing analysis about elections and all those kind of things, it should not be about the picture in our head. We need to go to the people, talk to them, get their attitude, and begin to reflect that in our analysis, so that we don't miss the point. What would make people vote? What would make people not to vote? What do they want to see? These are very, very critical factors that we need to examine. And I must say that I commend your reporters who have tried to stay out of trouble, because one of the things we said before this election is that they must be safety conscious, and for some of them, they see this thing happening and they just don't go there and start asking those people, why are you doing this? We are ready to capture you. They can easily be attacked. That could cause a problem. But then they have the facts, and I hope that the INEC officials, they are listening, people are listening to all this, so that all of us can speak out and say this is not how things should be. Because one of the things we pride ourselves about in this area is the fact that we are advancing knowledge. And this is well-educated family. I hope we should remember that we had elections before where people did not ask for anything. They did it on the basis of conviction. Perhaps too. Let's do it.
tí ẹ ti rí àwọn èèyàn tó ń dìbò ní Liberia bí Ghana, òṣì náà wà ń bẹ̀ o.
Ó wà ń bẹ̀ o.
òṣì ti bẹ̀ gan fẹ́ ju ti Nàìjíríà.
ó fẹ́ ju tiwa lọ.
àwọn tí alóńgbòwò ní Nàìjíríà ìta sọ pé torí òṣì ni, ṣé èrò pé torí òṣì, torí nígbà tí èèyàn gba 5,000 tó ń lọ́dọ̀ kan, àwọn náà sì máa ń complain jù nínú àwọn tó ń complain lérí ìjọba pé ìjọba yóò dá.
ìfà tábà sọ pé torí òṣì ni àwọn èèyàn ṣe ń gba 5,000 7,000 láti lọ dìbò, ó yẹ ká tún máa tún àdúrà yẹn gbà pé kọ́lọ́ má fòṣì bá wa jà, nítorí ìyẹn gan ó fi hàn wípé òṣì yẹn tẹ̀ tí wá di pé torí nǹkan tá à ń sọ ni wípé 7,000 ní kó tẹ̀ wá gba 20,000 kò rán ọmọ lọ léèwé láyé tá a wà yìí.
ṣé báwọn yìí ti ń náwó tẹ́lẹ̀?
kò ra ètò wọ́n ti náwó ní àwọn ibi tí à ń sọ yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí Liberia. Owó táwọn wọ́n máa náwó fáwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ wọn, àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ wọn nígbà tó bá ń ṣe campaign tó bá ń jáde, ṣùgbọ́n kò ṣe wípé lọ́jọ́ ìdìbò wọ́n wá lọ dúró, nítorí tó bá yẹ pé àwọn èèyàn tó yẹ kó ń fẹ́ máa gba owó láti dìbò ní irú àwọn ìlú yẹn ní ẹ̀kan ti ṣe, torí Liberia ìmọ̀ pé wọ́n jagun. ẹ bá ṣe débẹ̀ sí ẹ rí i pé nǹkan ò tí ì bójúmu fún àwọn èèyàn wọn, gẹ́gẹ́ bó ṣe ń ṣàlàyé tẹ́lẹ̀ àwọn tó wà níjọba wọn tá à ń gbé káà fún chairman local government tá à ń ṣe gbogbo àwọn ní gbogbo yẹn lọ́rùn yẹn wọ́n dẹ̀ ṣe but wọ́n lérò wípé tí democracy bá ṣiṣẹ́ nǹkan ìtẹ̀síwájú á wà fún wọn nítorí bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n fara balẹ̀ wọ́n máa jókòó ni wọ́n á káàbọ̀ wọ́n á túkà wọ́n á ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ wọ́n á ṣe kò sẹ́ni tó wá dídé sọ pé òun wá láti wá da ìgboro bóyá torí pé àwọn dẹ̀ ti rí oríṣiríṣi ogun civil war ni àwa ò dẹ̀ gbàdúrà ṣùgbọ́n nàìjíríà náà àwa náà ti rí náà ó yẹ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí máa yí padà díẹ̀díẹ̀ a mọ̀ wípé àwọn olóṣèlú a lè sọ wípé àwọn náà jẹ̀bi ọ̀rọ̀ yìí jù ṣùgbọ́n àwa yẹn wa náà yẹ káwa gan bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí máa ronú wa èmi dẹ̀ rò pé àsìkò tó tó fún àwọn ọ̀dọ́ láti kọ́kọ́ gbára wọn pọ̀ pé àfẹ́ kékeré yóò ṣẹlẹ̀ mọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe ṣe ní Ghana kọ́ bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí bá wọn òbí wọn sọ̀rọ̀ kọ́ bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí pé ẹni tá a bá rí tó ń gbowó a máa dójú tì ní pé àfẹ́ rárá torí pé kò tiẹ̀ bójú mu ìyẹn ní nǹkan tó mú fún ìpò yẹ kí a máa sọ ní àsìkò yìí tó bá jẹ́ gbọ́dọ̀ yìí tán sọ pé wọ́n ń pè owó kò jẹ́ kí lóye ọ̀dùn nítorí pé tí a bá gbé ètò tá a bá parí election ilé ní sí tó sọ pé ẹ tó wọlé ṣé owó la máa sọ pé ó gbé ẹnìyẹn wọlé ni tó bá dẹ̀ ti àwọn ọ̀gá ní owó ni tó bá dẹ̀ ti ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀ ti gba owó tí wọ́n bá tún títí ọ̀dọ̀ yìí ṣe tọ́ fún yín ní ilé ìwòsàn hospital ètò gbogbo ẹ̀ tọ́ ṣe ẹ nílẹ̀ ní ẹnu ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ má sọ̀rọ̀ mọ́ o torí ẹ ti gbowó gbowó yín kẹrọra dákẹ́ síbẹ̀ nǹkan tó já sí nìyẹn ṣùgbọ́n eléyìí ò dá fún wa.
bọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ tó wá yà mí lẹ́nu sàn pé láyé àwọn Shagari MPN àwọn olówó UPN GBPP and so like that òkú ló fowó dìbò báwo ló ṣe wá jẹ́ pé ó gbogbo ẹ̀kẹ́ ó ìwà gbójú owó ayé àwọn onípẹ̀tà sọ̀rọ̀ ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ ló ń sanwó sápò ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ àmì ló sanwó sápò ẹgbẹ́.
mo ti rántí pé ní 1979 or 78 nígbà tí èmi àti senior brother mi ká lọ register bá fẹ́ di ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ Unity Party of Nigeria bá fẹ́ join youth wing wọn nígbà yẹn ní àdúgbò wa ní ilẹ̀ Ìjẹ̀ṣà àwọn kìíní ló jẹ́ bíi aṣíwájú ẹgbẹ́ yẹn Dr. Dáre Awẹ́ àti Títílayọ̀ Àjànàkú ńgbà yẹn àwọn ní alọ́bá nígbà tá a forúkọ sílẹ̀ táwọn alátúndè lọ́wọ́ pé èló ni a máa san fún làpẹ́bí sílẹ̀ torí pé ìwọ́n tó dẹ̀ fani wípé àti inú wa ń dùn pé ẹgbẹ́ yẹn ń sọ pé ó máa ṣe ètò ọ̀fẹ́ àti pé àtúnlẹ̀ sọ yẹn torí pé owó tá à ń gbà gẹ́gẹ́ pé à ń ṣiṣẹ́ kìíṣẹ́ wò là ń ṣe ń gbà yẹn laboratory attendance owó tá à ń gbà lóṣù ńgbà yẹn lánàá owó yẹn àáyọ fáwọn òbí wa àṣẹ wa so àwọn fúnra wa la sọ pé a fẹ́ gbé owó fún inú ẹgbẹ́ bọ̀tún sì náà àwọn ẹgbẹ́ yìí a mọ̀ pé ibo godfather kò ń ṣe gbogbo àwọn political party àwọn èèyàn fúnra wọn kọ́ ló ní nítorí náà gbọ́.
kí a wò báyìí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ẹgbẹ́ àwọn ìjọba tí wọ́n wà nípò nísìn ṣé ẹ rò pé torí pé kán bá lè fowópamọ́ fún bòyí ní wọn ò ṣe pèsè àwọn nǹkan èlò amúlòdùn tó yẹ kán pèsè lásìkò tó yẹ kán pèsè àti ní ojú pèrè iṣẹ́ fọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ ipe kán bá lè kówó pamọ́ di àsìkò ìdìbò kán bá lè fún yẹn.
ohun tó já sí nìyẹn a lè wò bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn pé wọ́n ti mọ̀ wípé àwọn èèyàn wọn á gba owó wọn á dẹ̀ dìbò nítorí náà ńkọ́ owó tí a bá lè kó pamọ́ fún ètò ìdìbò ká máa kó pamọ́ owó tá a tẹ̀ ná lórí ètò ìdìbò Nàìjíríà ó ti pọ̀ jù ó ti pọ̀ jù látìgbà tá a ti ń ṣe election à á gbé bọ́jẹ̀tì à á ná owó náà kò tí tún ní tó láti lè ṣe gbogbo ètò pé kí ètò yìí bẹ́ẹ̀ lè lọ kó má sí pé ó dàrú náà ni a ṣe ń ṣe gbogbo àwọn owó yìí yẹn láyé sọ fáwọn èèyàn wípé ẹ rántí o pé tá a bá gba owó tí mo bá débẹ̀ tán ṣe nǹkan tán làwọn máa ṣe ẹ lè lẹ́nu ọ̀rọ̀ nítorí pé ẹ ti gba owó then ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn náà kì í jáde láti dìbò nígbà tí a bá parí ètò ìdìbò ilé ni a máa wo iye ìbò tó ń dì fún olúkálukú bóyá ó máa tún jẹ́ ó máa bẹ́tà ilé tó ti ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ nítorí àwọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn nígbà tí ibi 2 million bá rẹ́gísítà yẹ kó nígbà tá a bá máa pa gbogbo àwọn candidate papọ̀ kò ní ju bóyá 400 or 500,000 ó mì pé àwọn díẹ̀ ló decide bí ètò òṣèlú wa ṣe máa rí for the next 4 years eléyìí náà kò yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ó yẹ kí àwọn èèyàn jáde so gbọ́n tá à ń sọ yìí náà ó fi hàn wípé gẹ́gẹ́ bọ́n ṣe sọ ó ní pé wọ́n mọ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn wa pé àtàbá fi bí pa wọ́n wọn ò ní lè ronú dáadáa wọn ò ní lè mọ̀ nǹkan tó ń ṣe ó dìgbà táwọn èèyàn fúnra bá sọ pé ilé ìtìtò àfẹ́rú ẹ̀ mọ́ ni nǹkan wọn máa yí padà díẹ̀díẹ̀.
ẹ jẹ́ kí a wo ọ̀rọ̀ vote by ríra ìbò títa ìbò yìí ǹjẹ́ ẹ bìlí pé kọ́ tàbí lọ sọ́dọ̀ Dr. Akínbodò ǹjẹ́ ò lè pé tí ò bá sí òǹrà kò ní sí òǹtà tí ò bá sí ẹni tó fẹ́ ra bò
tí ò bá sí
ẹni tó fẹ́ ra bò tí ò bá sí òǹrà kò ní sí òǹtà tó òǹtà bá wá tí ò bá ní òǹrà ǹjẹ́ kò ní kó wẹ̀ padà sílẹ̀.
tí ò bá sí òǹtà ń kọ́ ṣé dandan ni kí òǹtà wà.
ilé ìjọ tí mo sọ ni pé òǹtà ló wà tó òǹrà fi wá tó òǹtà ò bá wà kò ní sí òǹrà ǹjẹ́ rò pé ilé ìṣeéṣe Nàìjíríà tí ò bá sí òǹrà ṣé á rí òǹtà.
ọ̀rọ̀ ìjà ká wò ó báyìí òòrà ọwà òǹtà ọwà àwọn méjèèjì náà jọ wà ṣùgbọ́n ẹni tó òòrà ní ẹni tó jẹ́ wàhálà tó fún wa ní wàhálà gan-an àwọn òǹrà yẹn ni wọ́n ti mọ̀ pé báwọn èèyàn wà tán tiẹ̀ fẹ́ ṣe òòtà wọ́n mọ bóyá máa mú wọn ohun tó yẹ kí àwọn èèyàn rí kò sí ìtàlẹ̀ owó tó yẹ kán ṣe owó tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ gan owó oṣù kò débì kankan báyìí gangan ní owó lọ sókè ò 70,000 ìyẹn fẹ́ jẹ́ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ní òtí ẹ̀ níṣẹ́ rárá èyí tó níṣẹ́ gangan mọ́ wà ní gbogbo àti ṣe gbogbo bùkátà yẹn gbogbo ẹrú kan kún àwọn náà ti wò pé òkè àwọn ará yìí wọ́n tiẹ̀ fẹ́ tà tẹ́lẹ̀ á ṣe láti rí i pé wọ́n tà torí a ti mọ̀ pé nǹkan lé àwọn àdúrà wa tọ́jú owó tó pọ̀ wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé nípa ọ̀rọ̀ ìbéèrè kan tẹ́ béèrè nípa ọ̀rọ̀ ṣé kò ń ṣe pé àwọn arábí kúkú ń tọ́jú owó yìí ni pé tó bá di tó tọ́jú tó ń ṣe ní owó yẹn lágbára ibi tó dẹ̀ burú sí tó ń fi ní ṣe nǹkan kan tó bá tiẹ̀ dì wá ti bọ́ sórí àléfà ní pé wọ́n bá ti ń débẹ̀ gbogbo owó tó ń kó fáwọn èèyàn yìí táwọn èèyàn mọ̀ ní ẹ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ náà kọ́kọ́ máa yọ. nígbà tí àwọn bí àwọn èèyàn ṣe múra fún ìdìbò ní ètò lọ 2023 táwa ń wò wá wá ṣe àwọn.
dàpọ̀ jẹ́ kí ẹ lọ́rọ̀ sọ́kà mi ẹ lọ́rọ̀ èròjọba ẹ lọ́rọ̀ ẹ máa bọ́rọ̀ yìí sọ.
ní kátó dìbò 2023 àwọn ìwádìí kan tá à ń ṣe yìí tá à ń pè ní research gbà yìí pé báwo làwọn tó tiẹ̀ fẹ́ tó ṣe ìdíje àti wọlé ní ìdìbò yìí àwọn politicians wọn báwo náà ṣe náwó sí a rí i pé ní bí ìpínlẹ̀ bí Ondo báyìí àbí ní south west káàkiri èèyàn kan ò lè wọlé láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ gbogbo owó tán náà ẹ̀ tó bá gbọ́ pé èèyàn kan wọlé ní bóyá senator àbí house of rep kò sí bí òṣè tí ti náà kọjá 1 billion tó náà dẹ̀ máa ná sí tó bá fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí ẹ kọ́kọ́ rí gbogbo àwọn primary yẹn láti múra fún gbogbo àwọn tó fẹ́ dìbò bó jẹ́ 100 ní primary òun ẹ tún rí àwọn olórí ẹgbẹ́ gbogbo ẹ̀ káàkiri ìbò gidi ò tí ì dé o nígbà ọba ya tó bá di ilé ọ̀dà àti di pé lágbájá ń wọlé a gbọ́dọ̀ wọlé oní tiwa o nígbà ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ni ò sì ní sí ẹni tó máa fún wọn lówó kankan kan fún wọn náà máa ṣe a ní owó yá wọn ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ kò sí àrí pé kò sí ẹni lè wọlé tẹ́ bá gbọ́ pé èèyàn kan wọlé bí sí kò lè ná less than 1 billion padà Christmas àbá àná yẹn sọ.
ó fi dókòwò ni.
wọ́n bá ti ń dé bẹ́ẹ̀ kò sí àmì èèyàn náà láwa ọjà ní kíní ń yọ.
ẹ jẹ́ kí àwa wù báyìí.
nítawọn èèyàn kì í rí nìyẹn pé ẹni gbogbo owó yìí gàngàn ó wà ní òun gàngàn wọ́n ti yọ tó bá dẹ̀ ti ń yọ owó yìí ó yẹ kó fi ṣiṣẹ́ tó máa fi túlù ṣe ni.
wọ́n ní ṣiṣẹ́ tó yẹ.
nígbà wọn bá fẹ́ yọ owó wọn gbọ́dọ̀ yọ padà.
ẹ jẹ́ kí àwa wù báyìí wọ́n gbowó kì í ṣe pé wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń gbowó lọ́wọ́ ìdìbò ṣùgbọ́n látijọ́ tí a ti gbọ́ pé wọ́n mú a sì gbọ́ pé wọ́n mú àwọn èèyàn kí ni sígbà tá a máa mú yàn tá a sì tún gbọ́ kankan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ lẹ́yìn kí ni ẹ rò pé eléyìí ò ní máa mú kí àwọn èèyàn máa rà bò nígbà tó bá sọ̀rọ̀ ìgbà tán.
ọjọ́ tó ṣàlàyé ìgbà fún mi wọ́n dìbò àwọn nígbà kan ní kẹrẹ Èkìtì àwọn EFCC wà ń bẹ̀ nígbà mo dìbò tán ní kì í ṣe bí ilé ìlú mo ní ibi tó ti kú láti mú EFCC mo wà ní mọ́tò wọn ilé wọn tó ń bẹ̀ lóòótọ́ wọ́n débẹ̀ wọ́n rówó wọ́n arrest ilé ìwé tó wọ́ọ̀dù níbẹ̀ ni wọ́n mú àwọn èèyàn bíi 12 gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe sọ èyí ni nǹkan tó gbẹ̀yẹ.
àtẹ̀kọ́ mú ọ.
gbogbo ń tọ̀ ọ̀dájú mẹ́fà lẹ́yìn ìgbà tó tó ń tẹ̀ ó ń parí sáfúnlẹ̀.
ó gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí tẹ́ bá wo àti ń gbọ́ látẹ̀kọ́ kò yẹ kó yà á lẹ́nu pé káàkiri ìpínlẹ̀ ní ìrètí kò sí ṣẹlẹ̀ ìyẹn ni wípé ó pọ̀ àwọn tó ń ṣe oríṣiríṣi àṣemáṣe nígbà ìdìbò wọ́n pọ̀ gidi ìpínlẹ̀ kan sì lélẹ́yìn o wọ́n ṣe gbogbo Nàìjíríà o ohun tó fi sì sọ ni pé INEC ló wà in charge ó máa ṣàkóso kínní ọ̀rọ̀ ìbò gangan ká má ti sọ délé ìbò gangan lórí ìsọ̀rí àwọn INEC kìkẹ́ tẹ bá sì bí wọ́n ń sè wọ́n á ní àwọn òdì ní wọn ní fọ́ọ̀sì wọn ní àwọn agbófinró ọlọ́pàá náà ni wọ́n máa lọ bá tẹ bá bí wọ́n á sọ pé wọ́n bá àwọn ọlọ́pàá wọn ṣiṣẹ́ pọ̀ wọ́n mú àwọn kan wọ́n ń ṣe lọ́bọ̀ mélòó náà lòun ìdí ẹ̀ nìyẹn tẹ́ fi rí irú ọ̀rọ̀ tí mo sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé àwọn oríṣiríṣi ẹgbẹ́ ta kóra jọ lára àwọn nǹkan ta fi ránṣẹ́ sí ta fi bá wọn sọ ní National Assembly ilé aṣòfin àgbà yàrá nǹkan tẹ́ gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe láti rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ burúkú ní kẹ̀tẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ gbé àjọ kan dìde kẹyọ iṣẹ́ ìwé ilé kúrò lọ́wọ́ INEC lọ iṣẹ́ tí àti ọ̀rọ̀ ìbùkún kí ló lọ wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́ kí a sì rí rìsọ́ọ̀tì ní iye kiri wàhálà ní iṣẹ́ yẹn pọ̀ pé ẹ̀yọ kúrò lára aṣẹ wọn ẹgbẹ́ àjọ kan dìde kó jẹ́ pé iṣẹ́ wọn náà máa ṣe because tẹ́ bá bí àwọn ènìyàn ní àṣemáṣe pọ̀ káàkiri ó pọ̀ mélòó owó sì ni ẹ̀yọ kan sì nìyẹn owó ní ẹgbà lọ́ọ̀yà ọjà káàkiri ká má ti sọ bí ẹgbẹ̀rún bí 1,000 cases kákan sọ gbogbo bí àpẹẹrẹ mélòó ni adé kìlẹ̀ ṣe.
ẹ jẹ́ kí a wo ọ̀rọ̀ títẹ̀ lófin Nàìjíríà a rí pé alófin gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan ọ̀rọ̀ amendment oríṣiríṣi ló ti ṣẹlẹ̀ lórí electoral law alófin ṣùgbọ́n àtẹ̀lófin yẹn náà ni ìyá àtẹ̀lófin àwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà kọ́ ló ń fa wàhálà nítorí
àjẹ́lófin ni kíní wà yìí dà ó wà ní kíní wọn àjẹ́lófin ni wọ́n sì mọ̀ àjẹ́lófin ni tọ́gbọ́n oríṣiríṣi gbogbo ní kankan
kí wàá lọ́nà àbáyọ.
ẹ̀wẹ̀ èkíní èmi rò pé irú ohun tí mo sọ pé ìgbésẹ̀ tí mo lá gbé kan pé à ń bá àwọn ilé aṣòfin àgbà sọ pé òkè ẹ wá fi sínú ara òfin kẹ̀kẹ́ ọ̀kọ́kọ́ gba iṣẹ́ ìgóòlù lọ́wọ́ INEC iṣẹ́ ìpò jù ó pọ̀ ó sì nílò owó ó sì nílò àwọn èèyàn tá a lè ṣe káàkiri gbogbo ní Nàìjíríà ẹgbàá lọ́wọ́ gbé àjọ kan dìde Electoral Offences Commission ìjẹ́ iṣẹ́ wọn yẹn káwá wò bóyá wọn ò ní mú àwọn èèyàn iṣẹ́ wọn yẹn báyìí a lè gba INEC gbọ̀ngàn náà àwọn náà lè sọ pé ẹ̀rí iṣẹ́ owó wa ni àti ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ ìbò nìkan.
ṣé ẹ rò pé àmì ti ọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà náà bọ̀ tá a bá ní electoral court tá à ń sọ yìí ṣé ẹ̀rù bá mi tọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà bá ṣe jẹ́ bọ́ ìgbé tá a bá tún mẹ́yàn náà àwọn náà tún ṣe àlùmọ̀kọ́rọ́ yìí.
ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n ṣe iṣẹ́ o a rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tó máa mú tó sì máa di òfin sì fojú wọn kankan ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ a lè rí díẹ̀díẹ̀ ó lè ṣe díẹ̀díẹ̀ a máa lọ síwájú díẹ̀díẹ̀ náà ni tá a bá wá ní.
eléjọba báwo ni o.
dáadáa ni ẹ̀ka sọ.
ẹ̀ka sọ fún ló wà o.
ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ ọ̀sẹ́ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo àti yàgàgà ẹ̀ka méjì ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ ọ̀sẹ́ tó pín sí apá ti Irékárí ní ìdógún ìjọba ní Àfọ̀n àti Miri àti apá Ìfọ̀n Àrìmọ̀kìjà àti àwọn kan bẹ́yẹn ọ̀pọ̀ Ìfọ̀n ni mo ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ kúrò ní Ìmọ̀rú ni mo wà ní Ìfọ̀n tó jẹ́ olóòlù ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ ọ̀sẹ́ bí ó ṣe rí kákàkiri kódà bó ṣe rí lọ́wọ́ ní òpẹ̀mẹ̀ ìpele àtàwọn bíi tí a yà kákàkiri bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ló ṣe rí ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ ọ̀sẹ́ àwọn èèyàn jáde wọ́n jáde láti wá dìbò ṣùgbọ́n mi ò lè sọ pé wọ́n túyáyá láti wá dìbò nítorí iye tá a rí wọ́n fẹ́ kéré díẹ̀ kódà láwọn òbí kò tiẹ̀ tó dájì kò tó ìdásí mẹ́ta iye àwọn olùdìbò tí wọ́n fi orúkọ sílẹ̀ ní àwọn ibùdó ìdìbò wọ̀nyẹn ṣùgbọ́n lójú tá a bá wò àwọn èèyàn ṣe tí wọ́n ṣàjáde láti wá di ìbò wọn ìwọ́de ń lọ ní ìrọwọ́ rọsẹ̀ láti aago 8 àbọ̀ tí ètò ìdìbò tí ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọwọ́ àkókò kan náà ló bẹ̀rẹ̀ kákàkiri bó ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ níbí náà ni ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Ọ̀wọ̀ gbogbo àwọn olùdìbò ni wọ́n ṣe ń jáde wọ́n ń ṣe náà yẹ àyẹ̀wò náà yẹ orúkọ wọn wò níbi tí wọ́n lẹ̀ mọ́ lẹ́yìn tó bá ti yẹ orúkọ wọn wọ́n á fi máa mú bivas wọn wọ́n á ṣe àyẹ̀wò bivas wọn lẹ́yìn tó bá ṣe àyẹ̀wò bivas tó wá rí i pé orúkọ wọn wà bẹ́ẹ̀ tó ṣe wọ́n á fún wọn ní ìwé ìdìbò wọ́n á dẹ̀ lọ di ìbò àkọ́kọ́ tí ètò ìdìbò tó máa kẹsẹ̀ járí òun náà ni a ṣì ń dúró dè níbi ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ méjèèjì yìí o mi rò pé ó fẹ́ máa ní ibi tó jẹ́ pé ètò ìdìbò ti máa kọjá àkókò nílẹ̀ tí àjọ elétò ìdìbò tí wọ́n là kalẹ̀ nítorí wọ́n ní tí àkókò bá fi máa tó àwọn tó bá kù sórí ìlà wọ́n á kà wọ́n gbogbo wọn dẹ̀ máa dìbò bá ilẹ̀ bá tẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo wọn máa di ìbò tán àwọn nǹkan ìdìbò náà wọ́n dẹ̀ tètè dé ibùdó ìdìbò so nírètí pé ó yẹ kí ó lè kọjá iye aago tí àwọn àjọ elétò ìdìbò tí wọ́n là kalẹ̀ pé ìdìbò tó bá kẹsẹ̀ járí.
máwọn ibi tí o dé ṣé kò sí ọ̀rọ̀ àtàbọ̀ aráàbò náà bẹ̀.
ó wà ń bẹ̀ o ó wà ń bẹ̀ o ó wà ń bẹ̀ o ó wà lọ́wọ́ ó wà ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ ọ̀sẹ̀ láàrin kódà ibi tó tiẹ̀ wà mọ́tẹ́rì ibi tó ń sọ fún mi pé kí wọ́n máa ya fídíò wọn kí wọ́n máa gbọ́n wọn lẹ̀ kí wọ́n máa ya fọ́tò wọn tó fẹ́ máa di wàhálà pé àwọn ara wọn ní pé nǹkan wọn ní pé àwọn pé kan fi wọn lẹ̀ láti ṣe nǹkan wọn bó ṣe fẹ́ ṣe.
ọ̀nà wo ni wọ́n gbà ṣe é.
oríṣiríṣi ni kódà níbi mo sọ̀rọ̀ ibì kan jẹ́ pé lójúkorojú kò ní wọ́n kó owó jáde àwọn ẹlẹ́ṣọ́ àwọn elétò ààbò àwọn náà wọ́n sì jókòó wọ́n wò wọ́n ràn ṣẹ̀mẹ̀ pé àwọn ọlọ́pàá tó wà ń bẹ̀ wọn ò ní ìbọn dání wọn ò ṣe ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n wà ń bẹ̀ tó ń ṣe ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ara wọn náà ló tún bára wọn sọ̀rọ̀ pé àgbẹ̀ kìíní lójú táyé pé ìdílé kan kìí kan ọmọ àwọn tí àlejò tó wà ń bẹ̀ tó ń ṣe tó tún kóra wọn kú ń bẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n tó bá ti ṣe tán wọn àkọ́kọ́ náà wọ́n dára wọn mọ̀ ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì máa ń fúnra wọn níbi ìtàlí báyìí tó bá ti níbi ìtàlí ẹlòmíì tó wà tó ti yàn ẹni tó bá ti dìbò tán tó ti fún talí àbí èyí tó jẹ́ ara wọn wọn mú lọ́wọ́ báyà máa tẹ̀lé ń tàn lọ sí ibi tí ẹni tí ó wà lọ́wọ́ ibi tí máa fún ní owó tọ́lẹ̀ ti gbà wọ́n tó kálukú wọn náà lẹ́ lọ aṣáájú pé tó bá ti jáde bẹ́ẹ̀ owó máa ń wà lọ́wọ́ wọn lóore ilé tó ti bọ́ ti ẹ̀bà pò ètò ti ẹ̀ bọ̀ náà pọ̀ ó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ so bí ó ṣe rí òun ni.
ìjọ kẹfì iye tí wọ́n pè.
ibi ìwé àtọ́ ti pé 7,000 naira ibi wà tán ti pín 10,000 naira kò í ṣe iye kan náà ni wọ́n pín káàkiri bára wọn wọ́n kàn pín bóyá iye tó bá ti bọ́ sí ọwọ́ àwọn yẹn pọ̀ ni wọ́n pín fún àwọn tó jáde láti wá dìbò ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n pín owó.
ṣé àwọn aláàbò ní nǹkan báwo lọ́rọ̀ wọn ṣe rí.
ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò wọ́n ṣe ń kódà láti wọ Ifọ̀n láti wọ ẹ̀fọn níbi láti ìjọba láti ìpínlẹ̀ Edo gbogbo ẹ̀ ni wọ́n làwọn sójà àwọn ológun tí wọ́n gbogbo àwọn ọkọ̀ tó fẹ́ wọlé lọ́dà wọ́n wà nílẹ̀ ńbẹ̀ tí wọ́n ráyè wọn láǹfààní àti wọlé ó dé ẹ̀yìn aago mẹ́fà ni wọ́n tún máa tó ṣí wọn lẹ̀ láwọn tó ṣí wọn lẹ̀ láti lè jẹ́ kí wọ́n kọjá nítorí òfin kónílé gbélé ẹ̀ wà kò sí àǹfààní fún àwọn ọkọ̀ láti kọjá títí di aago mẹ́fà ìrọ̀lẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí etí àwọn agbófinró tí wọ́n fi léta. àwọn sójà míì tún wà ńbẹ̀ náà tó ń dá àwọn míì tó ń dá wọn dúró síbẹ̀ àtọlọ́kadà àtònímọ́tò àti gbogbo àwọn náà dá dúró síbẹ̀ pé ó di ẹ̀yìn aago mẹ́fà kí wọ́n tó ṣí wọn lẹ̀ láti kọjá. so àwọn ẹlẹ́ṣọ́ ààbò náà bọ́dẹ̀ ṣe ń lọ ni wọ́n ń bọ̀ náà lọ́nà kódà adúlẹ̀ ànumọ́ ti lè rí dájú pé ètò ààbò kò bẹ́ẹ̀ nínú ètò ìdìbò lè tí ó lọ lọ́wọ́ yìí.
ẹ̀sùn a tún máa retí bí ìjọba ṣe rí tó wáyá ní àwọn ibi tó bá tún dé.
ẹ̀kísà ní àfikún ìgbà tí mo ṣòṣèlú rí mo ṣe mo wà lẹ́gbẹ́ NCP níbi wọn kò ṣe
ẹ kò sóṣì.
pàtì bọ́ ẹ̀kísà tẹ́ ẹ bá yóò fi
ẹgbẹ́ wa nìyẹn gbà yẹn.
kò sófin wa sà kò sófin wa sọ pé o gbúdọ̀ fowó ra fọ́ọ̀mù ìmúṣepọ̀ o gbúdọ̀ fowó ṣe anything whatsoever. mo rántí gbàgbọ́ tá a lọ ṣe convention wa ní lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ èmi ṣe chairman Ondo state tàbí gbogbo àwọn ọmọ tí mo kó lọ tó máa dìbò èmi responsible fún wọn. lọ́dọ̀ wà pé chairman Ondo contest wọ́n lè ṣe o kò fi kó lọ contest. so èmi responsible fún hotel tó ń sùn Fẹ́mi Fálànà ní national president tàbí òun ló bọ́ gbogbo wa ìyàwó agbésàrò wa àgbègbè wa ó wá di òru ọjọ́ kan wá sùn máa tó ń ṣe immigration ní
délé mọ̀mọ́dù
ló wá sí òtẹ́ẹ̀lì kìí kí ló wá jí mi ló gbé bá dà kí ni lè ṣe jẹ́ òun sọ ó lóun kó máa bọ́ náà òun kò kí ni mo yà kó fẹ́ Fálànà àbúrò mi ò kó ká nǹkan tá a ṣe ni ọmọ yóò ṣẹlẹ̀ kó máa fún ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ òfin tí bàbá fi sílẹ̀ kó tó kú òun là ń tẹ̀lé òun fún ẹ̀mí sí ìdílé olóògbé ẹ̀ kó máa pè é oúnjẹ tó tún gbé wá nígbà tó ní fẹ́ẹ́ sábà ti sọ pé òun là ń fi àkọsán náà ní òun jẹ́ ká dìbò fún òun ní gbogbo àdìbò fún gbogbo àtàtìlẹ̀ Yorùbá òun ṣàwọlé wọ́n fi ṣègùn tán ló tún gbé oúnjẹ wá jẹun náà kó gbogbo fẹ́ fáwọn fi ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ ṣáà fún wa dáa jẹ dáa ṣe gbẹ. chelsea ṣé ẹ mo gbowó táwọn ẹ sọ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ sí pé primary nìkan ni kò fún ẹ ní election fún candidate ó ti máa gbowó jù èyí tó má lè àdójú ní constitution bẹ́ẹ̀ pé ní nation form o inú gbogbo ẹ o gbúdọ̀ sanwó ǹjẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ pé àwọn tó ń contest sísà ó jẹ́ pé APC ọ̀gá 50 million ló gbà lọ́wọ́ fún nomination form àti intention to contest. owó mi ti pọ̀ jù ibo náà ti fẹ́ rí wọ́n tó gbóná sí i. so tá a bá lè irú òfin bẹ́ẹ̀ kí wọ́n lè wáyé pé ẹ má máa ta fọ́ọ̀mù ẹ má máa ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ìbá tó dáa láì ṣe lè sà.
meaning that the political parties have
àwọn oníṣẹ́ yes sir
if you ask them sir they will tell you that they need to raise money to fund the party. You know, in other places, in other countries, each member of the political party are supposed to pay.
Exactly.
That is not happening in Nigeria.
Yes.
That's why they
don't have a real membership.
Yeah. It's not organic.
Even some of these rallies, if you go and study the pictures carefully, you will see that some people, same people that go and wear Ashobi or Ankara to attend this party rally will be the same people that will go because these transactions when it comes to party agents. The party agents in those days, people will even volunteer from the party to be agents, people that you trust. But these days, just waste of people small money to be agents. So another person who has more money will give your agent money and your agent will endorse the result that is could be against your interest. These are some of the things that we see in this process. So it's a major threat to the credibility of electoral process.
All right, 9 minutes before noon from the studios of Adabaite for 9 FM. We're still giving you a report about the ongoing governorship election in Ondo State, and studio panelists that have been doing justice to all the development, all the things that we've been witnessing. Many issues from that. But let's compare the logistics between that and this election, the Ondo State governorship election.
Well, I would say that also giving us feedback information in terms of material. That was because the security agents and INEC officials worked in synergy. In Edo, INEC officials were ready, the security agents were not ready, and normally the protocol we were ready, but we were waiting for the security agents. When it was the rivalry areas, Ilaje and all of them, we saw where the APC candidates voted. That is one of those areas, and from all accounts, by 8:30 or 8 something a.m. he had already cast his vote.
Yes, that's true.
Then we have also not had reports of problems with the transporters taking the materials, particularly again in those river areas, the boats and so on. We have early arrival. Then INEC tried to give more assurance took the political parties, the agents, civil society organizations to CBN to inspect the sensitive work. But we also have our publicity. They've given one feedback to say that Beavers was now working in that area. But we raised this before the election because we raised it. We said, well, Beavers is a technology, and we know this is fail. So what are you doing? And they said they had backup of about 800 in case 812 that in case it fails totally, they will be in a position to replace. I feel that we can say from what we've seen so far that the logistics, there's improvement in logistics. People get into the polling units and being able to cast their votes. The problems we're having from what we've been analyzing since, we'll probably have to do more with the question of vote buying and some of these other challenges that we've been analyzing.
There's no solution.
Yes, there's no solution really. So the logistics aspect of it, I would say we can say that so far it seems impressive. It's better, but we hope it will be carried throughout the day, because we are still going to get to the level of the counting of the votes, then movement to collation centers and so on. It will be good if this momentum is sustained. That's what I would say.
Until declaration of results.
Yes, until declaration of results, exactly.
All right. In the build up to the election, would you say that if you compare with Edo, would you say that INEC in this particular election engaged the stakeholders more effectively than Edo or than in previous elections?
Well, I think they took the engagement much more seriously than what we had perhaps in Edo. So even when we talk about these transporters, for example, they said that because of occasional conflict of interest between road transport union and road transport workers, because you have the road transport union, you have the owners who own the vehicles that these people use. At the quarterly briefing that the INEC chairman had in Abuja with the media, he did say that they are engaging the owners, they are engaging the transport, the unions, and they are also engaging the maritime workers at different levels, national, states, and even local levels, to ensure that there will be no problem, because we took this issue seriously. We were asking them, we said this is part of effective communication. Those who will make your work easy, how regularly are you communicating with them? And we saw elements of that. As at Wednesday, the vehicles that would leave the state capital to go to the different areas are deferred, because we're concerned about some of these specific questions on their part. Then there were engagements with civil society groups. There were briefings even after the inspection. Apart from the inspection that took place in CBN, they had a forum where they met with civil society groups. The peace accord wasn't just for the political parties alone. Civil society groups were also invited. They were parts of it. I felt that the engagement really has been encouraged, even with the media too. Apart from programs that the INEC resident rep was invited, I knew they had engagements with the Nigerian Union of Journalists, with the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists. We just hope that all these engagements now would give us something more, much more better by the time the whole election process is concluded, because we are just still looking at the early part of it right now.
All right, thank you very much. I know that it's a busy day for Mr. Arugundade and Dr. Akingulu. I know you have other places to be, but before I let you go, because we have a break a few minutes from now, before I let you go, Vice Ogidi is still very much with us. Before I let you go, let me turn to Dr. Akingulu. What you've seen so far, what do you think are the takeaways that all the stakeholders, not just INEC now, including the voters, including the media, what do you think are the takeaways that we could learn from in going forward?
Okay. One is a fact that, let me begin with the media. We have seen, we have heard, from your correspondents on ground in various locations, from Akoko up there, to Ondo to Ilaje, and all of that. That is speaking to transparency of the process. The media giving us as it is. Meaning a lesson from there is that this should be strengthened. Coverage, of this process. And you see live, hearing what is happening there. Deepening it to help. I'm sure, those reports that are coming will make them uncomfortable. The stakeholder groups that are involved in vote buying, for example. We've heard about that. So, journalists, the media, to deepen transparency, that is, deepen coverage, professional coverage of the process. That's important. Two, security agencies, for example. We see now the deployment, we've had everywhere and all that kind of thing. But we have had, there are some cases, a little overzealousness and all of that. They will need, to adjust to make sure. Use of technology. Earlier on, was it you that mentioned the use of technology? And, you just got sent a message, to our monitors. By the way, we also do monitoring. As we're here, Adaba FM is one of the radio stations across Nigeria, whose content we monitor on political coverage, that's coverage of the electoral process. I also see 10 monitors are monitoring broadcast media organizations. This is part of the work that we do, IPC and CMSO together. They are monitoring all of this. One of the things that came, from some of the little things, that they sent to me, they said there was a report in one place that the security agencies were using drone technology.
Yeah, they did say that before the election that they were going to use drones.
Yeah, so I was really looking forward to that, and I said, let us know where this happened. Meaning, that the point that he made very valid. So going forward, to also help, if you deploy technology, that reduces the physical deployment of men, and that reduces possibility of voter intimidation and suppression that people might begin to refer to. So going forward, the INEC itself, yes, we're waiting to see how things happen, to see how they walk the talk. It's about noon now, so as we go towards the other stages, the votes are cast, they are counted, and all of that, to IREV, to collation, and all of that, announcement of results and winners and all of that we want to see, and then we'll be able to throw up concrete points about lessons that to be carried forward. I think it's also important to say that voter education, we have seen now political parties were not even doing it. They just left the thing to civil society and the media. See all of this, all the work that has been done. Going forward, the stakeholders need to sit down. This is not the best time, for the media at all. The operating environment is very inclement, very harsh economic environment at this time. And to do professional, consistent, quality voter education program during the electoral process requires resources. And the media at this time are unable to mobilize sufficient resources to be able to do this. A lot of work, has been done. We follow your content, as I said. And then what is it? You just wonder, how do these people cope? How do they manage, to remain on air and be able to do all of this? It's part of how the media will be supported, strengthened, sustainability mechanisms to be put in place for the media, to do more than it has done in this process. Very, very important, going forward. For their people turnout, we will see eventually at the end of the day when the results come out. But what we have seen, in previous electoral exercises, give cause for concern. For example, in the 2016 election, about 500,000 voters, 35% turnout in the governorship election. In 2020, about 591,000 voters here in Ondo, 33% turned out. So it went down. Now this time, and at that time, we're talking, for example, in 2016, 1.6 million voters. In 2020, 1.8 million voters. In this one now, because of the fairly large number of uncollected PVCs, we are looking at about 1.7 million voters. We want to see what this will see, and once we get the result, if it goes down, it's cause for concern, meaning that voter education is something that we need to do more, and then deal with the orientation towards vote buying instead of instead of investing in voter education. And that will be a multi-stakeholder dialogue, really. We also need to see how all of this will play out, how we can escalate this to the level of reform of legislation or electoral reforms in general, to make sure that some of these things are captured in the reform of legislation, the Electoral Act and the other laws. Certainly we need very strong mechanisms to deal with issues like vote trading. It is a big deficit, and the way we are going, we will get to a point, if we do not arrest this, we'll get to a point in this country where people would just not come out and not the rest result will just come. They will say, okay, the highest bidder has shared money, and that's all.
All right, Mr. Ogunade, anything you would like to add before I let you go?
Well, it's covered most of the ground. Just as we were speaking, I got some message on WhatsApp platform that actually, apart from money, that in Ghana the youths rejected rice that politicians brought. They returned it. So which means that poverty should not be an excuse for us. And one takeaway here is that the young people have a responsibility, because this is a state that we are very proud of. It's part of our history. Even growing up, as a young person, I remember when I was in secondary school, when the radio station was established in the state, we came to Baile that time to participate in inter-school debates. I attended Federal School Arts and Science, Ondo. So this is a state that has rich history, rich resources. I was speaking to a senior brother of one of our professional colleagues, one of our elderly professional colleagues, Mr. Taiwo Bay. The senior brother, Mr. Kayode, retired. He was the director of forestry, and he was telling me that on those states there was a time when coffee was being grown in this state. So it was not just about cocoa. There were those states that they had grown coffee before in this state, and you know how much money that these things are making. So this is a state where people should conduct themselves with pride. I think pride goes with those states, given its history, the personalities that we have produced in this country. Whether you are looking at field of education or even traditional institutions, where you mention traditional rulers in those states, people will bow, and anywhere you turn, tourism and so on. So our young people, I feel they are the ones who should begin this conversation, begin to hold dialogue with different stakeholders and say we can do things better. And if we start, if Ondo State leads by example, it will become other examples that we begin to refer to. Just as the way we are referring to Ghana now, we need one state where we can say, oh, don't you see what people are doing in that state? I think that is where we are going, and that will be my own parting shot at this segment of this program.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Arogudade and Dr. Akingbulu. Thank you very much for being part of election coverage this morning. Thank you very much. We have to let you go now. Like I said, I know that today is a very busy day for you. Thank you very much. We are so grateful. Thank you. All right, we'll take a break now and then we'll return shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you.